Scrawny and bald, Marty strode forward with his usual take-charge attitude, and Mel wondered what he'd been like as a younger man. She had a feeling he'd been a force of nature. "You want me to get rid of them?" Marty asked. "We're not open for another 10 minutes. Tate glanced past Mel and Angie, who had their backs to the window. "No, go ahead and let them in," Tate said. Mel powered down her tablet, since it was clear the meeting was over. "Thanks for the update on everything, Tate, and nice try on the football player franchise. Ha, that was a good one." Tate glanced at the door as Marty turned the deadbolt. A small smile curved Tate's lips as he slid out of his side of the booth. Marty pulled the door open, greeting the customers in his usual exuberant Marty way. "Welcome to Fairy Tale Cupcake." Marty staggered back from the door. His mouth dropped open as two of the largest men Mel had ever seen entered the bakery. It took her only a moment to recognize Keogh Graham. Tall, dark, and handsome, with his trademark braids that reached his shoulders and his wide grin. It was as if he'd stepped right out of Monday Night Football and into the bakery. Mel clutched the bib of her apron and looked at Tate. "That's Keogh Graham," she said. "I know," Tate said. And while he didn't use those words, his tone reeked of "I told you so." Angie grabbed Mel's forearm and squeezed it hard. In a shriek whisper, she said, "And Tyler Matthews is with him." Not only were the two NFL football players massive, they were both ridiculously good-looking, as in movie star gorgeous, despite Keogh's broken nose and the deep scar on Tyler's chin. If anything, those flaws made them even more handsome. "Good morning, Tate, ladies," Keogh said. His voice was deep, and he glanced at Marty, who stood frozen, and said, "Sir, are you all right?" Marty's head bobbled on his skinny neck in the affirmative, but it was clear he had lost his powers of speech. "Can I get you a glass of water or something?" Tyler asked him. He ran a hand through his pale brown hair while his blue eyes narrowed with concern. Marty shook his head from side to side. Tate stepped forward with his hand outstretched. "Come on in, guys. I think my colleagues are a bit starstruck. Just give them a sec." "Mel!" Angie hissed as Keogh and Tyler shook Tate's hand and then walked towards them. "Yeah," Mel answered. "Is this real? Is your NFL boyfriend actually here in the building, or am I hallucinating?" That's NFL husband," Mel corrected her. "And if you're delusional, then so am I." "Oh, goody, a mass hallucination," Angie said. "I always wanted one of those. Said no one ever." Tate gestured for the men to sit, and Tyler and Keogh slid onto the bench seat opposite Mel and Angie. They had to adjust themselves, sitting a bit sideways to accommodate their large frames in the booth. Mel wanted to reach across the table and poke Keogh's hand just to see if he was real, but she was aware that this might be considered rude, so she decided against it. Tate grabbed a chair from a nearby table and sat at the end of the booth. He grinned at Keogh and Tyler. "Your timing is perfect. I just told the girls you were going to buy a franchise, but they didn't believe me." Tyler and Keogh glanced at Angie and Mel. Their expressions were earnest, and Mel thought she might be having an out-of-body experience. These guys wanted to buy a cupcake bakery? She couldn't wrap her brain around it. Correctly reading her expression, Keogh said, "It's no joke. We want in." "Key has convinced me that owning a small business is a sound investment," Tyler said. "It is," Keogh insisted. "We need to have something to do after we retire, like..."